All we need is love, right? That's what the Beatles said. And then they broke up. So, what is love? Well, one person defined love as a four-letter word consisting of two consonants, L and V, and two vowels, O and E, and two fools, you and me. Another person said that love is like, that if life is like one crazy thing after another, then love must be two crazy things after one another. Or is love like the cartoon that I saw of a man and a woman on a dog sled in Alaska? The man said to the woman, "Honey, I drive my dog team a day and night 100 miles just to say I love you." "Oh my," said the woman, "that's a lot of mush." Is that what love is? Sydney, I don't think the camera is pointing over here, brother. Is that what love is? Two fools, two crazy things after each other, a whole lot of mush? Well, to many in our society, love is a feeling. Love, of course, has written many a love song. I just called to say I love you. I can't stop loving you. When a man and a woman are in love, and so on and so forth. And all of that romantic love is great and wonderful and delightful. But is that all there is to love? If love is just a feeling, then what happens when the feelings stop? If love is something that you fall into, then what happens when you fall out of it? Is love something that's that fickle? Of course, for many people in their experience, sadly it is, and that's why there's so much heartbreak in our world. But God's love isn't fickle at all, according to the Bible. It is rooted in a concrete act, not in a feeling. God's love was revealed among us in this way, we read in our scripture this morning, that God sent His only Son into the world to be His atoning sacrifice. I once did a person on the street kind of an interview for a youth group and went around and asked people what love was. And I will never forget the response of one young girl when she looked into the camera and she said, "Well, love is when you care for somebody so much that you're willing to die for them." Wow. I don't know whether that young girl was a believer or not, but Jesus certainly would agree with her. No one has greater love than this, he said, than to lay down their life for their friends. And that indeed is exactly what Jesus did for us. Someone once asked Jesus how much He loved us, and He stretched out His arms, and He died. His death was what John calls the atoning sacrifice for us. His death removed the sin barrier between ourselves and between God, so that we can now live in and through God without fear, as John says. What's love? It's most powerfully seen in the death of Jesus for humanity. But as Tina Turner says, what's that got to do with us? Well, it's got everything to do with us, according to John. Beloved, we read in 1 John 4:11, since God loved us so much, we also ought to love one another, whether they deserve it or not. Since God gave us His only Son for us, we also ought to give ourselves up for one another. Whether we like the other person or not, as our drama so effectively illustrated. Whether we chose the other person or not, as our drama illustrated. Whether they're part of our earthly family or part of our spiritual family. Whether they deserve it or not, whether they are easy to love or seemingly impossible to love. Now, of course, Lent is often a time when we think about giving things up. We give up sweets, or maybe we give up cursing, or perhaps we give up something else. I met a guy in college once who said that he was cutting back to 1 case of beer a month for Lent. I kid you not, that was what he was giving up. And if God is calling you to give up something, then that's good this Lent. But I wonder if God might be calling all of us, whether we're giving something else up or not, might be calling us to give up something even more personal than sweets. I wonder if God might be calling us to give up ourselves for someone else. To give up our time, perhaps, by visiting a senior in a nursing home. To give up our will by getting down on the floor and playing with our children or our grandchildren, despite that thing that you just have to do on your to-do list. To give up our need to win an argument by listening, really listening to our friend or spouse or child. To reach out to that church member, or perhaps even that pastor that just rubs you the wrong way. To love unconditionally and to love permanently, as Val said in our drama. Love is hard, that is true. And it seems that the closer the relationship, the harder it is to love sometimes, isn't it? The closer the relationship, the more we know about one another's brokenness and the more we experience it. The closer the relationship, the more opportunity there is to hurt one another, even when we don't intend to hurt one another. But true love hangs on, even when loving is really hard. One hot summer day in southern Florida, a little boy decided to go for a swim in the lake behind his house. He dove in eagerly into the cool water and was enjoying splashing around. He didn't see the alligator that was on the other side of the lake, but the alligator saw him. His mother in the house was looking out the window and saw the alligator and the boy as the two kept getting closer and closer. In utter terror, she ran out towards the dock and the water, yelling to her son as loudly as she could. Hearing her voice, the boy became alarmed and he made a U-turn and he began to swim towards his mother. But it was too late. Just as he reached her, the alligator reached the boy. And from the dock, the mother grabbed her son by his arms, just as the alligator snatched onto his legs, clamped onto his legs. And that began an incredible tug of war between the two. The alligator, of course, was much stronger than the woman, but the woman was much too passionate to let go. Miraculously, a farmer was driving by and heard the mother's screams and the struggle of the boy, grabbed his rifle, ran towards the water, and shot and killed the alligator. Thankfully, the boy survived. Months and months in the hospital, though his legs were incredibly scarred by the vicious attack, and his arms were deeply scratched where his mother's fingernails dug into his upper body in order to hang on to the son that she loved so very much. A newspaper reporter was interviewing the boy after the trauma and asked if he would be willing to show him his scars. And so the boy lifted up his pant legs, and then with obvious pride, he said to the reporter, "But look at my arms too! I've got great scars on my arms. I got them because my mother wouldn't let go." Don't let go, friends. Don't let go of your family, even when it's hard. Don't let go of your fellow church member, even when it would be a whole lot easier to walk away. Hang on, because God is love. And those who love must also love their brothers and sisters. Let's pray. Gracious God, you have called us to love one another deeply and profoundly, even when it's hard, even when we don't like one another. And sometimes that happens in our family, and sometimes that happens in our church family, and that's neither here nor there, it's just reality of life. But we ask, O Lord, that you might fill us with your love for one another. Help us, God, to be a safe harbor in a world full of hatred and anger and distrust. Thank you that you have forgiven us and that you have given us forgiveness so that we might overcome the challenges in our lives and in our relationships. Help us, O Lord, to be an instrument of your peace, a beacon of hope in the world around us. And all God's children said together.